What's going on, everyone? My name is Jordan Maddox. I own Maddox Graphics out of Elkhart, Indiana. We print all kinds of custom apparel. We also print DTF transfers for other apparel printing businesses. We do yard signs, decals, banners, wrap film, vehicle wraps, all kinds of stuff. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I started my business, the journey so far, challenges we've had, the vision for the future, and just a little bit about us. We are a family-owned business. My wife and I, we work our business full-time out of our house. And so we'll just go in depth a little bit and try to help encourage some of you that are on this path or wanting to come on this path. My intention with this channel is to try to be of any kind of help and a resource to you that are wanting to come on this road or you that are already on this path. When I started, I had a few YouTube videos out there that I could sift through and try to find a little bit of meat and potatoes, but there wasn't very much. So anything and everything I can provide to you apparel printers or apparel printers to be. I want to try to be as much of a help as I can and be as much of an open book as I can, and really just try to feed as much as where I get the blank medias, all kinds of everything that could be of any help to you at all. Okay, so let's get into it. I started my journey because I fell in love with the art of graphics when I was a very little kid. My older brother, he really got me hooked on it because he was wearing the brand Ecko Unlimited, Marc Ecko, which showcased all kinds of different graffiti, all kinds of different arts. It was something that drew me big time back then. And so with that, I wanted to learn the graffiti world. It just eventually took me into learning a little bit more about Marc Ecko, how he got his start, because I was really just trying to investigate how that process all took place in his life. And so the story from him was he started with learning how to airbrush first. So he started with the rhinoceros sculpture. His dad had a rhinoceros sculpture, and he practiced and practiced over and over again, just learning how to airbrush. And one thing led to another. He created the logo of the rhino, and that became his logo for Ecko Unlimited. Fast forward, he is now a billion-dollar apparel business, graphics business. So he's got his name out there, and it just one thing snowballed into another. So because of the appreciation for that art, I took a course in high school. It was called the Career Center, which was an extracurricular outside of the school during the school day, to where I could go and I could learn graphic arts. And in that class, I learned how to airbrush t-shirts. I learned how to screen print t-shirts. I learned the computer work, how to make business cards, and all of the meat and potatoes that would pretty much lead me on the course that I am on today. The year after that, I went into collision repair and basically learned how to repair with paint, body work, all of that stuff that would kind of soon come hand in hand with where my journey led me. So fast forward, while I was in Career Center, I was able to do a job shadow at a place locally here called The Art of Design. Dean Laux is the owner of that, and within that job shadow, I was able to go there, and the very first time when I was there, I was able to shadow Dean Laux, and he was airbrushing a mural on the back trunk lid of a PT Cruiser. And from that point on, I was absolutely like, this is exactly what I want for my own life. I want to go down the path of art, of graphics, which in turn, I was able to get a job at TAOD, or The Art of Design. And so I got to be a part of and around all of this really, really cool custom painted stuff, which, you know, there's Prevost motor coaches, they're custom painting. There's offshore ocean racing boats, they're custom painting. There's helicopters they're custom painting. There's Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all of the, the cool sports cars that they're custom painting, and just all kinds of mind-blowing adventures that that this would lead me on. I started there as the shop cleaner, so I would do all kinds of thorough cleans in and out of that paint shop, in and out of the graphics room, the art room, Dean Laux' office, all kinds of everything that I would have to clean. I was there. I was putting in the time of, the grunt work of organizing all kinds of everythings in and throughout the shop. So I just, over the years, I came to a point where, okay, now it's time to start building my own business. I would airbrush t-shirts after work. I would go home, airbrush t-shirts until, midnight at night, and just practice over and over and over again, where eventually I got married. My wife and I, we started our airbrush journey with a 10 by 10 tent, doing festivals, going all over Indiana, doing festivals. Year after year, we were learning, what was the good festival, the bad festival for our niche, and we would just weed out, what was good and what was bad. One thing led to another. We decided to go into the local mall here in Mishawaka, University Park Mall, where we would set up a booth. And we spent the majority of the summer there. And what happened was, while we were there, the rent was $1,200 a month. The first couple of days I was there, I basically paid off my month, and soon the kids would go back to school, and the building was pretty much just crickets. I would make $50, $100 a day, and it just wasn't cutting it. So from there, I had to do something. I basically shut it down. And from there, I pretty much wanted to try to stay flexible as much as possible. So my wife and I investigated looking at transporting motorhomes across the United States. That way we could try to, be as flexible and still basically keep our own boss mentality, or being able to keep the entrepreneur spirit alive in us and not have to just go back to work. Fast forward 2 years into it, we wanted to get a house. Actually, we wanted to get a bigger house because we were wanting to start a family now. And with that, required me to go back to work full time so that I can get approved for a loan. And went back to the Art of Design. I was there for a little less than a year. And when I went back this time, I went back to learn how to paint. And when I learned how to paint, it was, basically painting motorhomes all day, every day type of thing, learning how to mix paints, everything that came with painting. And because of that knowledge and experience that I got, eventually I learned through a friend at church that I could go into painting motorhomes piece rate or production full time and, make $70,000 a year. And so that appealed to me. And with that, I jumped ship from Teo and went into production paint piece rate, where, I was making $70,000 a year and would go in at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I would get off at noon, and, I'd make my $250, $300 a day. Because of that, I was able to cultivate my business again and my passion again on the side and be able to get this thing full steam ahead. I did that for 7 years, and I was just always afraid to take the plunge, to jump ship, full time again, and move away from the security of the, full time, knowing I had a paycheck coming. Fast forward to 2020. We had a COVID year, we had the stay-at-home orders come, and basically I had to come home for 2.5 months. And because of that, while I was home, I just started grinding, pushing Facebook stuff, pushing all kinds of work out on Facebook. And once I seen the return, I was like, okay, this is it. I think, I'm pretty much confident in my abilities. And the stay-at-home order came to an end, and we had to go back to work. So once I was at work again, I was there for probably 3 weeks, and I came home. I told my wife, that's it. I'm putting my notice in, and I'm coming back home. So fast forward, come back home. It was pretty much just a game all day, every day of grinding on this business. I mean, I'm talking 15, 16 hours a day, push, push, push. And I was pushing all kinds of stuff out so that, if I'd push, vehicle wraps out, I'd push banners out, I'd push yard signs out, screen printing. If this isn't selling, that is. If that's not selling, this is. And basically, whatever would keep the money rolling in and be able to cultivate this thing and get it to a nice full oiled machine so that we are able to make it. And with that, there was definitely some dry times, definitely some lean times where, we would start to get pretty worried. Orders are it's crickets right now. Our bank account is getting very, very extremely low. And, what am I going to do? I had some doubts. So I would think, oh no, am I going to have to go back to work? I had a lot I had more faith in God and the ability, for God to provide. And even when our dark days were here, and we had barely any income, I knew that if I kept paying my tithes at church, kept faithful at it, I knew, even though there was this walking through the valley of the shadow of death on our life, I knew that no matter what, if I paid my tithes, if I was faithful to God, that I could not outgrow God. And with that, I basically was able to, I would think, okay, we got DoorDash, we got Uber Eats, we've got, Shipt, all kinds of whatever avenues we would need to take to keep afloat on our lean times. So sure enough, my wife and I, some days it would be kids and all. We'd be in our car, we'd put, tablets, hooked onto the back of the headrest in the car, keep the kids busy. We would be all day out there doing Uber Eats, Shipt, all kinds of everything just to keep income coming in and our flexibility of schedule alive, because I already knew that if I was to go back to work, that was going to tie me down again, and oh great, I got to put in another notice, all that. It was one of the things I was just not going to have it. We just went out there, we hustled. Orders would come in on the t-shirt side of things or the decal side of things, and we would just not have to go out and do Uber. We would, be able to have, our days again where we would have full days of work in the house and keep maintaining. Eventually it got to the point where work was every single day now. Our business, our graphics business was every single day now. It just got to the point where we didn't need Uber Eats and all that anymore, and thank the Lord, it is there if we ever do happen to need it again. But we have gone 3 years or 2 years now of not having to ever go back out and do that, which if you need that, I will say it's actually kind of an enjoyable gig. The whole Uber Eats and the Shipt and all of that, we actually kind of liked it. In fact, like getting out and about and getting to see the community, getting to go in and run and hustle and bring in your income is actually a pretty cool gig. If I can make it work now, I would still do it, but I don't need it. I don't have to. It would just be a whole lot more stress, and we are full steam ahead where we pretty much, if we have lean days, I might have an hour or two of work that day, type of thing. I do all kinds of fancy car designs on shirts or truck designs or airplanes or all kinds of whatever graphics that I personally like to do for my own self, aside from everybody else's artwork that they throw at me. I'm usually like, I stay busy at all times. If I don't have something to do, I've got something to do. So I pretty much have no downtime. I started with a 6-station, 6-color Vastex screen printing press in the basement, and so we were screen printing quite a bit. It was basically the main source of income, screen printing t-shirts for local businesses, all that, you know. And let's see, 2021 came, we had a house fire. Lightning struck our attic during a very, very bad series of storms. And because of that, it caught fire, and we had to move out of the house for like 9 months. And so that entire 9 months, I had this screen printing press stuck in the basement and I couldn't use it. Before we had the house fire, I had my eye on this new DTF technology, and I was really interested in it. I was just like not necessarily forced to pull a trigger on it. And once we had to camp out in the apartment for 9 months, I knew that that was the route I had to take. So I bought a little desktop version of the Epson 3880, and I was able to convert that Epson to DTF inks, or apparel integrated inks, basically, so that you can press transfers onto your garments, and you know, it's formulated for apparel. So within the apartment, we had a loft, which was upstairs, and basically created our own work area in that loft. I had to print DTF full time at that point because I was unable to screen print the t-shirts in my basement. There was way too much construction going on, and it just got in the way, type of thing. So fast forward, I was home for about a year with the desktop version that printed 13 by 19 inch sheets. And with that converted printer, I had to do all kinds of deep diving and research. I had lots of help on Facebook groups. I reached out. I got a really good friend out of it, Stacy Malone. He has coached me basically every single step of the way. He was already doing it, so he was just such a friend to me that he was able to feed into me and teach me, and just offer so much of his time and energy, and just explain to me all kinds of stuff. And so I was able to, once I worked out all the kinks, and keep the converted desktop printers, you know, they have a lot of, they're pretty much like, you have to learn how to be a technician in these things, and just keep the thing alive, because the DTF inks, they're very, the heads, you know, they're, especially in the converted printers, they're not made for this, you know. So if you fail, you lose your head, and you lose your printer, and you lose your business at the moment. With the help of Stacy, I was able to just get this thing a smooth working operator. Because of that, I was able to start offering transfers to the public. Fast forward, you know, I had business coming, and this little DTF printer just was not able to keep up. It was either I was going to buy another one, or 3 or 4 more of them, and just have a bunch of printers, or, you know, it was time to upgrade. So I upgraded to a 17-inch all-in-one. Here, I'll give you a little bit better picture of it. It's a printer shaker combo, and it's pretty much been the lifeblood of my business, to where, you know, it's working all day, every day, just about. But this thing is an absolute workhorse. I'm pretty much, you know, as soon as they send in their prints, I'm moving on these things so that they can get them in their hands, cut them apart, heat press them, get their orders out the door. So that's pretty much where we're at now. Working on getting a 24-inch printer. That's a whole lot faster, so that I can cut my 10, 12-hour days in half, or be able to have somebody on these things full time, that they can watch over the printers, and that be their job. So the vision for the future is getting out of the basement into a facility, and I'm working on maybe having a building built in the backyard, because once I can get into that building, then I can move on to the next leg of the business, which is vehicle wraps, being able to pull cargo trailers in, cars in, be able to wrap their stuff. But I need to be freed up so that I can get the appropriate schooling, wrap school, get in and get out, be able to learn the effective techniques to be able to cut my time down on wrapping cars. I've already wrapped cars, but there are so many things that you can learn to be able to advance your techniques and everything, shave off a lot of time to where, you know, there's actual critical skills that would teach you how to take a 4-hour job and turn it into 2-hour job, you know, or a 45-minute job into 15-minute job, you know, and all that goes hand in hand with your return on investment. So you got to learn. I need to get myself some schooling so that I can get rolling on full-time, bringing in vehicle wraps and all of that. And then once I've got myself grounded in that, then I can pay for a guy to go off to school and get trained the exact same thing, window tinting, PPF film, all of that, you know, so that I got another guy that can help me. And because I have already learned the skills, if the guy calls in sick or, you know, there's a very big project, I'm able to jump back in the mix and I can get into that and keep the ball rolling. And just, there's all kinds of everything that is involved in this graphics industry that it really ultimately, I see this place going to a space of, I look at stuff like West Coast Customs. You know, look how gigantic he is. So, in my facilities, I see fabrication, I see custom stitched, embroidered seating, I see molding fiberglass, whether it be panels on cars or custom speaker boxes, apparel, hydro dipping, all kinds of everything. Because, like I said earlier, if this isn't selling, that is. If that's not selling, this is. And you had to have everything to stay afloat. Eventually, I just, you know, the apparel side of things, it basically took over and it demanded me so much that it was just too hard for me to split myself or clone myself and to get everything moving. So I stepped back. It was just a business learning experience. I had to step back and, you know, cultivate the one thing and then move on to the next and to the next and so on. And as you guys know, with that, or as you guys will know, comes many hats. You're wearing all kinds of hats. You know, you've got to maintain customers. You've got to be very, very responsive to customers. You've got to be very clear to them, make, you know, your conversations with them or your communication with them above and beyond, split hairs if you have to, so that everybody knows exactly what's going on and there is no question, and be very communicative with them. Ordering materials, there's keeping up on inventory, there's housekeeping, you know, there's keeping a clean space, there's management, time management, there's all kinds of everything in this that can run a person absolute ragged. But in this game of entrepreneurship, you're just gonna have to build tough skin. You're gonna have to have skin like an alligator and just keep chomping through this stuff. And it's just one of the things, like, if you love it enough, all of this stress even though it piles up on you, you just love this gig so much that it's just one of the things that you're learning to plow right through it. And with all of that grind, I've been able to locate a bunch of tools to stick in my tool belt. Because of all of the time invested in this, I've got quite a bit of stuff that's in my head already that I can feed to you guys and just really be able to try to encourage you on the way and to be able to be some kind of resource for you that I didn't necessarily have when I started. Some people don't have access to a mentor, and that's okay. YouTube University is amazing. It's amazing to have access to this in this day of technology, to where we can go on and we can research and learn anything we want to learn. In the meantime, if you're just starting, or even if you're not just starting, if you need DTF transfers, madixgraphics.com, MADIX graphics.com. A link will be in the YouTube, and anything and everything I can do to try to help with your guys' production, I would love to be of some kind of assistance to you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like, leave a comment down below so that we can try to get this in the algorithm for YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Till next time.